Every morning, you wake up with a weight on your chest. You put on your shirt, drink your coffee, and go to war. Not against the world, but against your own boredom. You drag your body to a place you resent, smile at people you don't respect, do tasks that drain your soul, and call it being responsible. But deep down, you know, this isn't noble. It's slow surrender. The truth is, you don't hate just the job. You hate who you have to become to survive in it. And you're not alone. Millions of men feel the same way, trapped, quiet, and ashamed of even wanting something better. But this video, this is not a rant. It's not about complaining. It's about clarity and action. You're going to learn how to quit, not as an escape, but as a man who respects his time, his energy, and his path. Will use Stoicism not to tolerate your suffering, but to end it with honor. Most men don't realize they're stuck, not because the pain isn't real, but because it's become so familiar, so constant. It no longer even feels like pain. It feels like just how life is. You wake up with that silent sigh. You scroll through your phone for no reason. You get dressed in clothes that don't reflect who you are. You walk into an office or log into a screen and spend the next 8, 9, 10 hours doing work that doesn't challenge you, doesn't excite you, doesn't mean anything to you, but you keep telling yourself the same lies. It's not that bad. At least I have a paycheck. This is just being responsible. Everyone hates their job a little, and slowly, silently, you surrender. Not to a boss or a company, but to the idea that this is all you get. That this quiet suffering is just part of being a man. That real men don't complain. They endure, they provide, they shut up and do what needs to be done. But let's tell the truth now. This isn't strength, it's survival. And survival isn't living. Because the longer you stay in a job that drains you, the more it rewires your mind. And worse, your identity. You stop dreaming, you stop risking, you stop trusting your own instincts. You start believing that comfort is safety, that exhaustion is maturity, and that quitting is weakness. And you carry this weight alone, because how do you even explain it? You're not being yelled at. You're not being abused. You're just dying a little every day in the grayness of mediocrity. But here's what Stoicism teaches us. The pain you don't name becomes the life you don't question. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." But in your case, it might be the opposite. You've trained yourself not to imagine at all, to numb the part of you that wants more, and so you stay. Not because you love the job, not even because you need the money. You stay because you've forgotten what it feels like to act from power, to move because you decided to, not because you were cornered. So let's change that. Let's name the pain. Let's expose the trap. Ask yourself one brutal question. If I stay in this job for another year, who do I become? Don't answer fast. Sit with it. Feel it in your gut. Write it down. Describe that man, his mornings, his eyes, his energy, his sense of self, and then ask, is that a man I'm proud to be? If the answer is no, then you're not stuck in a job. You're stuck in a pattern of self-abandonment. This is the invisible trap. Not the salary, not the office, not the tasks. The trap is how numb you've become to the quiet erosion of your soul, and the first step out of that trap is brutal honesty. No justifications, no comparisons, just this. If I truly respected myself, would I still be here? If the answer is no, good, because that means you're finally awake, and now we move. The real decision isn't about leaving the job. It's about reclaiming something you didn't even notice you gave away: agency. Most men think they're stuck because of responsibilities, bills, or lack of options. But deep down, the trap is more subtle. You don't feel free to leave because you've forgotten how to decide for yourself. You wait for the right moment, for a sign, for the perfect opportunity to appear and rescue you from discomfort. But that moment never comes, because you don't need more options. You need ownership, let's be honest. You've outsourced your clarity to fear. You've traded your sense of direction for a paycheck. And now you live in this emotional fog. Busy but disconnected. Safe but uninspired. This is where Stoicism enters, not as theory, but as a framework to reclaim power. Marcus Aurelius didn't ask for easier circumstances. He trained himself to ask better questions. So here's yours. What actually depends on me? Not what's ideal, not what's fair. What is within your command today? The Stoics call this the dichotomy of control. 2 columns. Column 1, things outside your control. Your boss, the economy, your co-workers' behavior, the company's decisions. Column 2, things within your control. Your mindset, your standards, your choices. Your response. Your job may feel like a prison, but the real bars are built with the words, I can't. So here's a simple Stoic exercise. Take a piece of paper. Draw 3 columns. Column 1, what I feel. Column 2, what depends on me. Column 3, what I will do today. This isn't about impulsively quitting. It's about practicing self-command. Because if you don't command yourself, you'll keep being managed by fear. Listen, you don't owe anyone your misery. You don't have to suffer to prove you're a man. What you owe is alignment between your actions and your values. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You might not even be angry at your job. You might be angry at yourself for knowing this isn't the life you want and still tolerating it, but that ends now. The decision is not about where you'll go next. It's about no longer living in contradiction. So today, decide this. I will no longer act like a powerless man in a life I chose. You may not quit today. You may not quit next month, but once you reclaim your voice, once you stop asking for permission to want more, you've already begun to leave, and that's the real decision. Not to escape, but to own. Now we move to the next phase, the plan. Not for anyone else, but for the man you're becoming. Let's build it. Most men quit their jobs in 2 ways: impulsively, driven by rage or burnout, or never, frozen by fear and what-ifs. Both are symptoms of emotional confusion. One is blind fire, the other is silent erosion. But the Stoic path? It's neither vast nor passive. It's deliberate. Stoicism teaches us to act with logos, with reason, structure, and inner clarity. And that's exactly what you need now. a strategic exit plan that honors your future without disrespecting your present. So here it is, simple, brutal, effective, the 90-day Stoic exit plan. Break it down like a warrior preparing for battle. Clarity, alignment, execution. Phase 1, days 1 to 30, brutal clarity. This is not the time to act. This is the time to strip illusions. Ask yourself, what exactly do I hate about this job? Is it the work, the people, the schedule, the lack of growth, the misalignment with my values? Write it out, all of it. Name the rot. Then ask, what do I want? Instead, not some fantasy lifestyle. What kind of work makes me feel alive, useful, and aligned? This is your first 30 days. Daily journaling, silent observation, zero emotional reactions, just watching, noticing, understanding. You can't leave with power if you don't first understand what exactly you're walking away from. Phase 2. Days 31 to 60. Alignment preparation. Now that you've gained clarity, it's time to prepare the ground. Here's what this phase is about. Getting your money, energy, and exit narrative in order. Start with finances. How much do you actually need to live for 3 months? Not your lifestyle budget, your lean warrior mode survival budget. Cut ruthlessly, then energy, sleep, food, exercise. You can't walk out strong if your body is weak and fogged. This isn't self-care, it's combat conditioning. And finally, your narrative. How will you communicate your exit when the time comes? To your employer, your family, yourself, craft a message rooted in respect. For the job, for your growth, and for your next step. Because men don't burn bridges. They build exits with honor. Phase 3, days 61 to 90. Decisive execution. Now it's time to move. Not out of emotion, out of structure. Set a deadline. Circle it on your calendar. Prepare your transition plan. Write the letter. Rehearse the conversation, but most importantly, act without drama. No justifications, no guilt, no explanations longer than one sentence. I've grown in this role, but it's time for me to take the next step. That's it. You're not begging. You're not apologizing. You're leading yourself, and that, above all else, is the Stoic way. Most people want to quit like an explosion, but the Stoic exits like a shadow, calm, silent, unshakable, because the real victory isn't just leaving the job, it's leaving the version of yourself who tolerated it. One step left. Now let's talk about how to leave without hate. Most men leave 2 ways. They explode or they disappear. One burns every bridge, the other vanishes without a trace. Both are driven by one thing, emotional residue. You hold the anger, you swallow the resentment, you carry the shame of staying too long. And when the moment comes to leave, you let it all out in one final emotional release. But that's not power, that's leakage. And Stoicism teaches the opposite. The real test of strength is this: can you walk away from what hurt you without becoming it? That's what honor is. It's not just how you stay, it's how you leave. You don't need to slam the door. You don't need to win the argument. You don't need to prove your worth with noise. You prove it with posture. Let them wonder why you're so calm. Let them feel the silence of your clarity. Here's the truth. When you leave with rage, you give them power over you. When you leave with honor, you take it back. So how do you do that? Let's get tactical. Step 1. The exit message. Prepare what? You'll say short, clear, respectful. Something like, I've learned a lot here and I'm grateful for the experience. But it's time for a new direction. No bitterness, no emotional justifications, no hidden jabs. You're not seeking validation. You're closing a chapter with integrity. Step 2. The emotional cut. Let go of the fantasy that they'll finally appreciate you once you leave. That they'll realize your value, that they'll apologize. They won't, and they don't need to. Leaving is not about being seen. It's about seeing yourself clearly. You've already stayed longer than you should. Don't waste more energy waiting for closure that won't come. Make peace on your side of the fence. Step 3. The silent goodbye. You don't need a dramatic exit. You need a clean one. No long goodbyes, no guilt trips, just presence. Say what you need to say. Thank the people who deserve it. And walk out like a man who knows exactly what he's doing, because you do. The Stoics believed that virtue is the only good, which means your conduct, not your emotion, defines you. And this moment, this exit, is not the end of a job. It's the beginning of a new standard. You're not just leaving a role. You're leaving behind a version of yourself who tolerated being drained, diminished, and delayed. So leave clean, leave quiet, leave strong. And when you step out that door, don't look back for applause. Look forward with intent, because now you're free. You don't just hate your job. You hate who you've had to become to survive it. Muted, tense, disconnected from your own fire. And the most dangerous thing isn't the job itself. It's the belief that staying small is noble. That endurance equals honor. That waiting equals wisdom. But now you know better. And once you see clearly, you can't go back to pretending. This isn't just about work. It's about reclaiming the man you were meant to be. Clear, disciplined, present, dangerously calm. So here's your challenge. Don't just nod along. Don't just save this video. Act. Write the letter. Set the date. Build the exit. And walk through it. Not as an escape, but as a decision, because the world doesn't need more men surviving. It needs more men leading. And if this message hit you, if it felt like I was speaking directly to the battle in your chest, then this isn't the last time we meet. Subscribe now. This is the place where silent strength is built, where clarity becomes action, and where men don't run from life, they lead it. Welcome to the mission.